The day I heard the words, "You have cancer," will forever be etched in my memory. It was a moment that changed everything, turning my world upside down and leaving me feeling lost and alone. Little did I know that this daunting journey would not only test my strength, but also lead me to forge an unexpected bond with a coworker who would become my rock and my friend. This is the story of how I beat cancer and built bridges in the corporate world. I was sitting in a sterile, brightly lit doctor's office, the kind of place where hope and despair seemed to blend into the white walls, when my entire world came crashing down. The doctor, a kind-faced man with a gentle voice, uttered the words no one ever wants to hear. "You have cancer." It was as if time stood still in that moment, the bustling sounds of the hospital fading into a distant hum. My heart raced, pounding against my chest as if trying to escape the reality of what I had just been told. Fear, raw and unyielding, clutched at my throat, making it hard to breathe. Tears welled up in my eyes, blurring my vision as I tried to absorb the weight of those 3 words. I remember staring out of the window, watching as life continued on outside, oblivious to the earthquake that had just shattered my existence. People walked by, laughing and chatting, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions raging inside me. I felt a profound sense of isolation, a realization that my journey ahead was one I had to navigate through a terrain fraught with uncertainty and challenges. The drive home was a blur, my mind grappling with the diagnosis. How could this be happening? I was young, just starting to make my mark in the corporate world, with dreams and aspirations stretching out before me. Cancer was not part of the plan. It felt like an unwelcome detour on my life's path, one that threatened to derail everything I had worked so hard to build. As I walked through the door of my apartment, the silence was deafening. The future seemed to loom before me, dark and foreboding, filled with doctor's appointments, treatments, and the unbearable thought of what might lie ahead. The word cancer echoed in my mind, a relentless reminder of the battle I was about to face. But amidst the fear and uncertainty, a flicker of determination began to stir within me. I didn't know how strong I was, but I was about to find out. This diagnosis would change everything, not just in terms of my health, but in ways I could never have anticipated, guiding me towards unexpected friendships and lessons in resilience and courage. In the heart of my struggle, amidst the sterile echoes of medical corridors and the quiet despair that had taken residence within me, an unexpected beacon of support emerged from the last place I would have thought to look, the cubicle right next to mine. I remember the day clearly. It was a Thursday, just another end to a long week, when she, my coworker, whom I had only ever shared polite nods and the occasional terse email with, stood by my desk with a resolve in her eyes that took me by surprise. "I heard about your diagnosis," she said, her voice steady but filled with an empathy that reached out and wrapped around my frayed nerves like a warm blanket. "I can't pretend to know exactly what you're going through, but I want you to know that you're not alone in this. Whatever you need, I'm here." The sincerity in her words pierced through the fog of my despair, offering a glimmer of light in what had been relentless darkness. Until that moment, our interactions had been nothing more than the superficial exchanges of 2 people navigating the corporate maze, our communications limited to work projects and deadlines. But here she was, offering her support with no strings attached, willing to cross the bridge from being just another coworker to something much more meaningful. It was a gesture that, in my vulnerable state, felt nothing short of heroic. In the weeks and months that followed, She proved to be an ally in every sense of the word. She wasn't just a shoulder to lean on, she became my strength when mine was waning. She organized my workload, fielded questions from our team to give me the privacy I so desperately needed, and she even tackled my inbox, which had become a source of overwhelming stress. Her acts of kindness, both big and small, chipped away at the wall I had built around myself, allowing me to accept her help and, eventually, her friendship. Our connection grew beyond the confines of office walls and work hours. She was there through every high and low, celebrating the small victories and offering solace during the setbacks. Her unwavering presence transformed our relationship, turning what had once been a mere acquaintance into a deep and meaningful bond. Through the shared experience of my cancer journey, we found common ground in our humanity, learning more about each other and ourselves than we could have ever anticipated. In those moments of vulnerability and shared strength, an unlikely ally in the workplace became one of my greatest friends, teaching me that sometimes support comes from the most unexpected places. The icy chasm that had once separated me from my coworker began to thaw on a day that had started like any other in the corporate grind, but ended with an act of kindness that took me by surprise. We were the epitome of professional cordiality, with our interactions confined within the sterile boundaries of work responsibilities and terse emails. However, her offering to share her lunch with me when she noticed I had forgotten mine at home was the pebble that caused ripples across the still water of our relationship. It was during the grueling marathon of my cancer treatment that the true metamorphosis occurred. As the days grew longer and my spirits waned under the weight of chemotherapy, she stepped in with an unwavering presence that I hadn't known I needed. Her gestures of support, small and large, chipped away at the walls I had built, not just around my heart but between us as colleagues. The space that had once been filled with tension and polite smiles transformed into one of genuine camaraderie and shared confidences. Our conversations began to spill over from the pragmatic to the personal, bridging the gap with tales of weekend adventures, family anecdotes, and dreams for the future. I learned about her struggles, her triumphs, and the depth of her compassion, which seemed boundless. She learned of my fears, not just of the cancer, but of the vulnerability it forced upon me, and the strength I found in facing it head-on. Team meetings and project deadlines became opportunities for us to demonstrate our newfound teamwork, with each of us bringing our strengths to the forefront, not just for the sake of our careers, but for the solidarity that had blossomed between us. We became a unit, a duo that faced not just the challenges within the confines of our office walls, but the battles I fought in hospital wards and doctors' offices. The tension that had once defined our interactions had been replaced with a symbiotic partnership, one that was forged in the fires of my greatest trial. It was a partnership that extended beyond the parameters of work projects and into the realm of genuine friendship, proving that even in the most unlikely of circumstances, teamwork can flourish and transform. Every chemotherapy session felt like an insurmountable mountain, each side effect a reminder of the battle being waged within my body. Yet, it was during these lowest ebb moments that the power of support became my beacon of hope, embodied in the person who had once been just a coworker. There's an indescribable comfort in not having to face the cold clinical atmosphere of the hospital alone. She was there, a steadfast presence beside me, turning the sterile environment into a space where warmth and camaraderie could flourish. On days when the cocktail of drugs left me more exhausted than I thought possible, when even lifting my head seemed a Herculean task, she was there, bringing meals that tempted my flagging appetite, sitting quietly by my bedside when words were too much effort, and always offering a shoulder when the emotions I'd kept at bay broke free. Her actions spoke volumes, turning the language of friendship into something tangible, something profoundly healing. Our shared laughter became the counterpoint to the beeping of machines, a reminder of the world beyond these walls, a world we both fought to see me return to, stronger and healthier. Her unwavering support during treatment sessions, her refusal to let me face this battle alone, became the anchor I clung to in my weakest moments. She showed me that while cancer was my battle to fight, I didn't have to shoulder the burden alone. There was strength in unity, in shared silence, in the exchange of glances that communicated what words could not. This journey through treatment was a testament to the unexpected strength found in vulnerability, to the deep well of kindness that lies in people we may have underestimated, and to the profound impact of empathy in healing. My coworkers' support did more than just help me endure the physical trials of cancer. It transformed the experience into one where love, in its most platonic and profound form, became the ultimate medicine. Through every needle prick, every wave of nausea, every tear shed in frustration or fear, her presence was a constant reassurance that I was not alone, a lifeline that pulled me through to the other side. There's a certain kind of silence that envelops you when you're sitting in the waiting room of a hospital, a thick, tangible hush punctuated only by the occasional shuffle of feet or the distant beep of medical equipment. It was in one of these moments, caught between the weight of my diagnosis and the uncertainty of treatment, that I found myself struggling with an unfamiliar feeling of vulnerability. The stark, sterile walls seemed to close in around me, a physical manifestation of my own fears and the realization that I couldn't navigate this journey alone. Up until that point, independence had been my mantra, a badge of honor I wore with pride in both my personal and professional life. Admitting I needed help felt akin to admitting defeat, a concept I grappled with as fiercely as the cancer itself. But there, in the soft buzz of the fluorescent lights, my coworker, no, my friend, offered a lifeline that I hesitantly reached out to grasp. Her simple act of sitting beside me, her presence a silent reassurance, began to erode the walls I had meticulously built around myself. Allowing someone else to share in my struggle was not an easy task. It meant opening up about the fears that kept me awake at night, the pain that sometimes felt too much to bear, and the vulnerability that came with each new setback. But with each shared moment, each small act of kindness, and each day she chose to stand by me, I learned the true strength that lies in admitting you can't do it all alone. This journey taught me that leaning on someone else doesn't signify weakness. Rather, it's a testament to the power of human connection. It's a reciprocal act of trust and understanding that binds people together in ways that go beyond mere words. My coworkers' unwavering support became the foundation upon which I could begin to rebuild my sense of self, not just as someone battling cancer, but as a person capable of giving and receiving love and support in its most unconditional form. Learning to lean on someone else was a journey in itself, a path that led me to discover the depth of my own resilience and the unparalleled strength found in the compassion of others. Our bond was solidified not in the grand gestures, but in the small, seemingly insignificant moments that stitched our lives together with threads of understanding and compassion. One afternoon, as we sat side by side in the chemo room, a cold silence enveloping us, she broke the stillness by reading out loud from a book of poetry she had brought along. Her voice, calm and soothing, acted as a balm to my frayed nerves, turning a moment of profound loneliness into one of shared solace. It was there, in the soft cadence of her reading, that I felt the walls between us crumble, replaced by an indescribable connection that went beyond mere friendship. Another time, during a particularly grueling week of treatment, she showed up at my doorstep with a care package filled with my favorite snacks, a cozy blanket, and a collection of movies she insisted we watch together. It was an act of kindness that spoke volumes, showing me that she wasn't just there for the difficult moments in the hospital, but was committed to bringing light into my everyday life as well. We spent that evening laughing and crying in equal measure, allowing ourselves to find joy amidst the pain. Perhaps the most poignant moment came unexpectedly on a day when I was overwhelmed with fear and doubt about the future. Sensing my despair, she simply held my hand, her grip firm and reassuring, conveying a message of hope without a single word being spoken. In that silent exchange, I realized that our friendship had become my anchor, a source of strength and courage I never knew I needed. These moments, small and intimate, became the milestones that marked our journey together, weaving a tapestry of friendship that was both extraordinary and profound. Each shared laugh, each silent tear, and every word of encouragement served as a reminder that together we were navigating the tumultuous waters of my cancer journey, building a bond that was unbreakable. The journey was arduous, each day stretching longer than the last, a relentless test of endurance and spirit. But the day arrived with a lightness I hadn't felt in months, the air infused with an inexplicable magic as I sat nervously in the familiar, yet suddenly alien, confines of my oncologist's office. The words, "You're in remission," fell from his lips, a sweet symphony that rendered me momentarily breathless. My heart swelled, tears brimming with a cocktail of relief and disbelief. I had dared to dream of this moment, yet now that it was here, it felt surreal, a fleeting dream I feared to wake from. But this victory wasn't mine alone. Turning to my side, where she had taken her customary seat, I saw a reflection of my own relief mirrored in her eyes. The bond we had formed, an unspoken pact of mutual support and unwavering companionship, had been my beacon through the storm. Her hand found mine, a gesture so familiar yet filled with the enormity of our journey. In the silent squeeze that followed, 1,000 words passed between us, a language born out of shared struggle and resilience. We had walked through fire, she and I, our steps hesitant at first but growing confident as we faced each challenge together. The daunting world of cancer treatment, once a labyrinth of fear and uncertainty, had become a battlefield where we stood side by side, warriors forged in the crucible of adversity. Her strength had buoyed me when mine faltered, her laughter a balm to the aches that medicine couldn't soothe. As we walked out of the office, the world seemed to gleam with a brighter hue, the sun's rays casting long shadows that spoke of evening's approach. It was the beginning of a new chapter, the promise of dawn after the darkest night. Our friendship, tested and tempered in the harshest of conditions, had emerged as the true victor, a testament to the power of human connection. The cancer was beaten, but what we had built in its wake was indestructible, a fortress of shared strength and mutual respect. Together we had triumphed, and together we stepped into the future, our bond the most precious victory of all. Reflecting on the turbulent waves of my journey, I find myself standing in awe of the unexpected treasure I unearthed amid my battle with cancer. It wasn't the triumphant ring of remission that resonated most profoundly within my heart, nor was it the myriad of lessons learned throughout this harrowing quest. Rather, it was the discovery of a friendship that bloomed in the most barren of fields, a bond forged not in the light of day but in the darkest of nights. As the seasons of my life shifted, so too did the dynamics of our relationship, transitioning from mere co-workers to confidants, warriors in arms against my illness. I recall the first time I truly understood the depth of our connection. A chilly evening, the world outside silent, as if holding its breath. We sat, enveloped in the soft glow of lamplight, sharing stories that transcended the superficial, delving into the essence of our souls. It was in those moments, our laughter mingling with the whisper of turning pages, that I realized we had crafted something unbreakable. The beauty of our friendship lies not in its inception, but in its endurance. Through every trial, every tear shed, and every burst of laughter, it stood resilient. It became my beacon, guiding me through stormy seas back to shore. This camaraderie, which took root in the most unexpected of soils, blossomed into a sanctuary of understanding, acceptance, and unyielding support. As I pen these lines, a smile curls the edges of my lips, not for the battles won, but for the ally I gained. Our friendship, a phoenix risen from the ashes of my greatest challenge, remains a testament to the transformative power of compassion, empathy, and unwavering loyalty. In the end, it was not just cancer that was conquered, but the barriers between two souls, unveiling the infinite potential for human connection.